James Gunn left Marvel for DC to fulfill his childhood dream of crafting epic stories with his favorite heroes, and he's not switching teams anytime soon. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. James Gunn is happy to be at the DC studios, and there is no place else he'd rather be, not even Marvel. Despite his history with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the co-CEO is completely dedicated to his job and would not want to go back to Marvel under any circumstances. Of course, one big reason is his partnership with Peter Safran. However, there is one more reason why James Gunn will stick with DCU: his love for the superhero universe. James Gunn has been a huge comic book fan ever since he was a kid. While he enjoyed Marvel as much as DC back in the day, it was the latter world that drew him in the most. Thus, if you're wondering whether or not James Gunn is with DCU for the long run, the answer would be yes. He clearly has no plans of jumping ship. A couple of weeks ago, James Gunn sat down for a conversation with Happy Sad Confused podcast Josh Horowitz, where they discussed everything from the upcoming Superman to the future of DC. At one point, Horowitz asked if Bob Iger and Kevin Feige offered him the job to take over Marvel Studios. Would he have taken the opportunity? While he would have thought about the gig, Gunn revealed that he would have to pass up on the hypothetical job offer at the end of the day. Why? Well, for starters, he couldn't have done it without Peter Safran. In fact, he believes he can't do Safran's part of the job at DCU either. In his own words, "No. Would I have contemplated it? Of course. But first of all, let me say something. I didn't take over DC. I took over with Peter Safran. People ask me if I want to do Kevin Feige's job at DC. I was like, I don't want to do that job. That's not me. I can't do Peter's part of this. I could never do this without Peter. He does all the CEO stuff. I am purely in charge of helping to tell these stories myself and to usher in other writers and artists to help them tell their stories. It's a creative occupation. It certainly is not Kevin's job." So, there you have it. Safran and Gunn are a package deal, and he would not be okay taking over a whole superhero universe without his right-hand man by his side. Would he have said yes to Marvel if the studios allowed them to take over the MCU as a duo? Probably not. It's safe to say that Gunn is living the life he dreamt of when he was just a child. As a massive fan of both Marvel and DC, the filmmaker would spend his childhood engrossed in comic books, and while he loved them both equally, he was always more fascinated by the latter. The young Gunn would play pretend with the DC characters, making up his own stories and having his thought-up superheroes collaborate with the OGs of the universe, like Batman. If we were asked to do that for Marvel, would we have done it? I don't know, but I know I've always been more interested in telling the stories of the DC characters. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a comic book writer. I equally love DC and Marvel comic books, but for some reason the DC characters were the ones that I dealt with the most. Gunn added, "I would make up my own heroes and then I'd have them team up with Batman." Talk about the power of manifestation. Clearly, it is safe to assume that a man who has his childhood dream in his hand will not be interested in giving it up for anything in the world. Not even the rival superhero world. Superman teaser trailer is out, and DC fans are loving James Gunn's version of Man of Steel. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. James Gunn's Superman has dropped its first teaser trailer, and it has received a positive response from the world over. Gunn's film is undoubtedly one of the most anticipated films of 2025. From the teaser, it appears that Gunn has checked every box to make DC fandom happy. David Corenswet will play this iteration of Superman. Rachel Brosnahan plays Lois Lane, while Nicholas Hoult appears as the classic Superman villain Lex Luthor. Other confirmed cast members of the film include Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen, Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, Maria Gabriela DeFaria as the engineer, Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific, Terrence Rosemore as Otis, Anthony Kerrigan as Metamorpho, and Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl. Even before the teaser trailer, James Gunn gave us hints that comics would play a huge part in his Superman film. More recent superhero film directors have received the wrath of the audience for steering away from the source material for the sake of originality. However, Gunn plans to reel in the comic book fandom by giving them what they exactly want. Fans saw a Man of Steel who is more relatable and spreads optimism around. Particularly, one scene in the trailer where David Cornsweet's character swoops in to save a girl from crashing debris is something classic Superman does. Superman stands as hope for the people as the chant Superman gets louder and louder during the run of the teaser. It is further highlighted in the teaser when a young boy raises a flag with the S symbol and whispers Superman's name during a time of crisis. Gunn himself mentioned the inspiration from comic books during an interview. He shared with comicbook.com, "There's a lot of stuff from the comic books above and beyond anything else, All-Star Superman, that influenced me more than anything. The comic-accurate costumes, the settings, and even the plethora of characters and Easter eggs that flash through the scenes look all promising. We even have Crypto the Superdog in the movie." The first thing that hits us right from the moment Superman crash lands at the beginning of the trailer is the bright colors of the teaser. James Gunn nailed the character and the world's tone with these colors. The colorful filter also helps bring hope and optimism into the film. The color choice also gives the character a classic look, which many fans point out to be a prime attraction in this trailer. Adding to the color tone, fans didn't know they needed to hear a twist on John Williams' iconic Superman theme from the 70s to get in the spirit. The moody theme perfectly balances out the cheery colors, giving fans a satisfactory experience from the teaser. This Superman is also going to be kissy-kissy, as we see a couple of smooches between David Cornsweet's Clark Kent and Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane. It appears that Superman doesn't need to hide his identity from Lois. Given the manner in which things ended at DCU, James Gunn's Superman is expected to face obvious comparisons with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. However, many felt that Gunn understands Superman better than Snyder. The Guardians of the Galaxy director understands that the DC superhero needs to be relatable and not a dark, gritty portrayal. In an attempt to modernize Superman, Snyder gave a more serious approach to Henry Cavill's Superman. While it appealed to a certain section of fans, Cavill's version wasn't the superhero that kids grew up with. The blue hue color tone of the movie itself gave off a sense of darkness. Fans also complained that Cavill's Superman couldn't spread the hope and optimism that the character stood for. Another hot take is that Snyder's movie, while visually unique, wasn't ideal for franchise building due to its more self-contained themes. However, Gunn's vision for the Superman universe feels expansive, even reminding us of Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man as a foundation for a broader franchise. It has already been mentioned that the teaser carries a classic look to it and that John Williams' music works perfectly for it. If these two factors don't scream James Gunn's inspiration for the film, we don't know what will. Throughout the teaser, fans can see the influence of Richard Donner's Superman films. Even the visual text in between scenes resembles the font that the 1978 film used. Before Henry Cavill's Man of Steel, fans were privy to live-action Superman through actor Christopher Reeve. Fans would generally like to forget about the Brandon Routh version, though not due to any fault on the actor's part. Donnerverse had two great movies that made even the non-readers of comics into a huge Superman film. And then there were the two horrible